Siyabonga, Hoyomora, good morning everyone. My name is Jessica Douglas and I'm here to talk about stereotypes. I chose to talk about stereotypes because it's something that's affected me almost every day of my life. And everyone in this room, whether you realize it or not, has been affected at one point or another by stereotypes. So I'm sure many of you, first let me explain how stereotypes have affected my life. I'm South African. I was born in South Africa. My family is South African. And then when I was 10, I was moved to Texas. Now, I'm sure many of you already have some stereotypical images running through your head of who I am as a person, what I do with my spare time, and what my home country is like. And unfortunately, most of what you're thinking is probably wrong. That is the danger of stereotypes. So a stereotype is defined as a widely held but fixed and oversimplified idea of something. Generally, stereotypes hold or did hold some truth at one point or another, but they've been stretched to fit an entire place, race, or idea. So I first encountered stereotypes when I was going to move to Texas. And I went to all my friends in South Africa and told them I was moving, and I realized later that they actually teased me a little bit. They started telling me all these things about the places I was going to move to. The first was that there were going to be cowboys riding horses everywhere. Second was deserts with tumbleweeds, and then that for some reason there were going to be a lot of really old trains. The one thing they told me I didn't believe was that the Texans were going to have this weird accent that I'd never heard before. And I looked at them and said, no way, that will never happen. And of course, it turned out to be the one thing that was true. Now, this stereotype, it did exist at one point. It's kind of the old Wild West version of Texas, but the stereotypes remained the same, even as Texas has changed. The same has been done to Africa. When I say Africa, I'm sure one stereotype comes to mind. Tribes, drums, tribal wear, and this really misguided stereotype of a language with clicks. I greeted you in two different African languages this morning. Zulu, Siyabonga, and Hoyomora, which is in Afrikaans. Neither of those languages involve clicks. And the languages that do involve clicks, it's clicks, not only solely clicks, but clicks with other noises and words thrown in between them. Then you have the mud huts, no roads, people riding elephants around, and wild animals everywhere. Does this version of Africa exist? Of course it does, but it's not the only version of Africa out there. For example, there's a country in Africa called Egypt. When I say the word Egypt, an entirely different stereotype is going to come to mind. You're going to think of pharaohs, pyramids, deserts. This stereotype does not coincide with the stereotype of Africa at all. Yet it should. It's one in the same place, technically. So I would like to put Africa in perspective. When we look at a world map, Africa often looks a lot smaller than it actually is. The dark brown area in the top left corner, that's the United States. The United States fits into that much of Africa. The dark orange-brown area at the bottom, all of that's China. So China, the United States, and all those other countries fit into Africa. Africa is huge. 54 countries, over 1 billion people, and only one stereotype. Now I'm going to show you my version of South Africa. All the pictures I showed you earlier were actually from South Africa, but that's not the only version there is. This is where I'm from. This is a city in South Africa called Johannesburg. It's probably the most well-known city in South Africa, although it's not one of the 3 capitals. As you can see, there are highways and skyscrapers and cars, and I can guarantee you there are no people riding elephants or people with pet lions here. And the most common question I get about South Africa is actually a quote from Mean Girls. If you're from Africa, why are you white? Again, a very misguided stereotype. Not everybody from Africa is black, and I guess I'm kind of living proof of that. I could go into the whole Dutch, British invasion and conquest of South Africa and all the Europeans that were brought into South Africa, but it really doesn't matter. It's just another stereotype. So those are my South African stereotypes, but then there's the more personal stereotypes. I am a teenage girl, and I'm almost 6 feet tall. I am tall. I get that. That does not mean that I play basketball. I am horribly uncoordinated, as I'm sure many of my friends could vouch for. I'm not good with physical sports, and I would be a complete mess on a basketball court. But I'm tall, so I should play. The other one is the most common. I am blonde. Dumb blonde, blonde jokes, I get it a lot. Yes, I have my blonde moments, but so does everyone. I just have an excuse when I say something unintelligent. My IQ should not be based on my hair color. It's not fair. I was told by one of my good friends, Nishta, she'll present later, that I was a person of contradictions because I'm a white African and a smart blonde. Fair enough, it's true, but why should that make me a person of contradictions simply because of the stereotypes? So what I'd like to leave you with today is that stereotypes can be insulting, and that while they generally hold some truth, they cannot be accepted as fact. Thank you so much.